Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Elliot Bowen, and I'm going to be your instructor this spring 2021 semester for the history of sexuality. Thanks so much for signing up for this course. I'm glad that there are so many people interested in learning about the history of sexuality. In this video, I just want to give you a brief overview of the syllabus, touching upon some of the major assignments and assessments that you'll complete over the course of the semester, and also giving you a little bit of a feel for what this course is all about. First and foremost, I should say that this course is introductory in nature. It does not require or assume any prior knowledge of sexuality as a topic of scholarly analysis on your part. And as this is an introductory course, in it we're going to be surveying a wide range of times and places, beginning in antiquity with ancient Greece, moving all across the world and up to the last part of the 20th century. As we do that, we're going to look at the history of sexuality from a variety of different fields with a number of different methodologies, including LGBTQ plus history, women's history, the history of the body, the history of medicine, and the history of science. Some of the key questions that we're going to pursue together over the course of the next 15 weeks include the following. How has sexuality changed, and what have the sources of those changes been? Specifically, how have different kinds of social institutions like medicine, religion, law, and the state interacted with sexuality in terms of regulating it, in terms of channeling it, in terms of prescribing particular kinds of erotic desires and behaviors for people like us? Also, when we use sexuality as a category of analysis, how does it change our understanding of other historical events, like, for example, wars or imperialism or different kinds of socioeconomic processes? And lastly, we're going to look at how to do the history of sexuality in this course, because one of the things that you are required to complete, as I'll talk about in just a minute, is an original piece of research. So you're going to become scholars familiar in the methods, the theories, the techniques of the history of sexuality over the course of the next 15 weeks. So, assessments, assignments, what am I going to grade you on? What are the major requirements for you to complete in order to do well in this class? As you can see, there's basically 4 different parts of your grade: participation, quizzes, a research project, and presentations. That all adds up to 100%. I want to talk a little bit about the different parts of these so you can get a sense of what they're like. The first thing I want to talk about is participation, which, as you just saw, is worth 30% of your overall grade. What I'm requiring you to do is make 2 substantive posts to our discussion board every week. I'll explain on the next slide what I mean by substantive, but before getting to that, let me first tell you that there are 3 different ways that you can earn participation credit in this class, and they are all equally valid. The first way, probably the easiest way, is to just respond to one of the questions from the lecture videos that I pose every week. You don't have to respond to all of the questions in a lecture video, just pick one of them. 1 question per post. If you did that twice, that would be great. You would be able to earn your participation credit that way. But you don't have to respond to me. You can also respond to what a classmate said. If you agree with them, if you disagree with them, so long as you're providing more information and driving the discussion forward, you can do that too, and that is also perfectly valid. Lastly, from time to time throughout the week, I will be interacting with you in the discussion board. Sometimes I'll give you new sources to look at, and often when I do that, I will pose a follow-up question that aims to drive the discussion further into what we're already considering. You can respond to that as well, and you can mix and match. Any of these strategies are fine. They're all 100% acceptable for participation. Okay, so what constitutes a substantive post? When I'm evaluating your performance in the discussion board, there are a number of different things that I'll be looking at and that you can use to earn full marks for these posts. The first is be direct. When you're responding to a question, I don't want you to tell me everything that you know about the topic. I want a targeted response that replies to the specific question that I am asking. So stay on point in your posts. Secondly, be specific. I don't want your general impression of the material that we're considering. What I want is something that gets into the details, something that goes into a great deal of depth in terms of building an argument that responds to the question. So be specific. Thirdly, I'm looking for you to be brief. You don't need to write mini essays for each of your posts. If you keep them to between 5 and 7 sentences, that's probably the length that I'm looking for here. Remember, there are lots of other people in this class. You don't need to cover everything by yourself. Just focus in detail on one part of it and let everyone else fill in the rest. And lastly, this is very important, be unique. Don't just repeat what previous posters have written. Try to extend the discussion in a new direction by bringing in new source material, by offering a contrasting point of view, something that helps advance it forward. Those are the 4 things I would like you to do when you write your posts. Okay, now that you know a little bit about participation, I want to move on and say a little bit about the lectures, because the lectures are a huge part of what you'll be responding to and what we'll be talking about in the discussion forum. So each week in class, I will, on average, post 1 to 2 15-minute videos to Instagram, YouTube, and our Moodle site. And your job is to watch those videos, take notes in a way that allows you to contribute to our discussion and to take other assessments like quizzes. I thought it'd be helpful here to maybe walk through a typical week in the semester just to get a sense of how the lectures and the discussions relate to each other. So if you look right here on the screen, this is a screenshot of the first week in our course syllabus. You'd begin by listening to that first lecture, which is called Defining Sexuality. And after you do that, after you have some notes on it, after you've put together some preliminary thoughts in response to the questions I'm asking in that lecture, you would then head over to our discussion board and upload your first post of the week. Once everyone's had a chance to contribute and we've wrapped that up, you would then go to our second lecture of the week. Same thing. Stream that, download it, however you prefer. It's 15 minutes. Take your notes. Sometimes in a given week, there will also be a reading. So in this case, you would go to our assigned article for week 1. You'd read that, take some notes on it, and that would give you all the information you'd need to proceed to our second discussion forum of the week. That's where you upload your second post, and if you do it well, adhering to all the guidelines I just laid out, you will earn full marks on participation. When it comes to making your discussion board posts, you have a number of different options. As the videos are posted to Instagram and YouTube, you can use those forums if you want to make your comments in response to the lecture material. But probably the easiest way for us to do it, which has worked pretty well in the past, is on Telegram. I've actually created a Telegram group chat just for this class, and I would suggest that at your earliest convenience, you click on the link in the slide here, join that group, and then make all of your discussion posts through Telegram. It's a really nice design. It's got a good feed. You'll be able to interact with me and your classmates in a really easy way. So let's go for Telegram this semester. Okay, another big component of your grade, 30%, is going to be quizzes. Over the course of the semester, we're going to have 4 of these. There will be 1 for every unit in the schedule. That is 1 on medical historiography, 1 on medicine in the ancient world, 1 on medicine in the early modern world, and 1 on medicine in the modern world. Each of these quizzes will consist of 2 questions. They'll be short answer questions that address lectures and readings from that particular unit, right? So all of the readings, all of the lectures that pertain to the unit on medicine in the early modern world, for example, there'll be 1 quiz that covers all of that. It'll be 2 questions. For each of these, you'll have to call on information derived from the lectures and the readings associated with that unit. You'll be asked to develop an argumentative response to a specific question, and your goal will be to develop a thesis that responds to that question and that makes use of some of our course content to make your argument. Each question for these quizzes should get about a 2-paragraph long response, and you'll be taking them online. I'll administer the quizzes through Moodle. Typically, you'll have a few days to complete this with a 6-hour window once you begin the quiz. Another huge component of your grade, 30%, will be determined by your performance in a research project, which is where you'll have the opportunity to compose an original piece of scholarship on a topic of your choosing in the history of sexuality. And this research project is going to be completed in 3 different stages. The first is a research proposal worth 5%, where you will produce a 1-paragraph statement that does a couple of different things. First, it will outline the general topic that you're interested in, and it will put forward a preliminary research question, in addition to a list of sources, a bibliography of 7 secondary and 3 primary sources. In the next part of the project, you will compose annotations for each of those 10 sources, talking about their content and also explaining to me how you plan to use them to address the research question that you have put forward. And lastly, toward the end of the semester, you'll put all of this together and produce a 25 to 3,000 word essay that develops an original argument that contributes to knowledge in the history of sexuality through your topic with the sources that you have been working with all across the semester. I'll provide more specific instructions on each part of this project as we get closer to the deadline. Also, please know that week 3 of the semester has been set aside entirely for you to scour the internet in search of sources, secondary and primary, that you could use as the basis for your project. Presentations. This is going to be worth 10% of your grade. It's an assignment that you'll work on with 2 other students. Basically, the way it works is you look through the syllabus, find a reading that you're interested in presenting on, sign up for it with your group mates, and then together you put together a PowerPoint that does a couple things. Provides a brief summary of the article you've chosen and also poses some questions to help guide us all through a discussion of whatever the text you've picked is. Pretty simple assignment, worth 10% of your grade. If you have questions, you can let me know. I'll send out a sign-up sheet once the semester begins so you can pick the article you want. In an ideal world, all of the assignments would be submitted by the deadline listed in the syllabus, but of course, we are not living in an ideal world. We are in fact living through a major public health emergency, the likes of which we have not seen in our lifetimes. I myself have gotten COVID. I know what it's like. It's not fun. Should any kind of disaster befall you over the course of the semester, I will do my best to accommodate you and make alternative arrangements for you in terms of due dates. All I ask is that you try to let me know in advance if you think you're going to need an extension on anything. Last thing, very quickly, office hours this semester will be Monday and Wednesday from 12 to 2 p.m. You can get in touch with me through Telegram as a private chat, through Google Chat, through email, And if these hours don't work for you, we can schedule alternative times outside them.